This might be my craziest Imaginext news video I've done in a while, but in this video we're going to be discussing a canceled S.T.A.R Labs set. We're going to be talking about Superman movie stuff and Metal Force, so let's get into it. But before I get too further, I've seen some of this stuff flying around on a couple different platforms on the internet lately, so that's why I want to talk about it. But I haven't seen anything exactly from retail stores, so some of this stuff may not be 100% accurate, keep that in mind, but taking it as it is, I do kind of think that pretty much all this stuff is accurate, but just keep in mind, you know, there can be changes, and these could just be rumors. Like I said, I've just kind of seen them on the internet. You can't really trust everything on the internet. So, yeah, and we have seen before, like the Kyle Green Lantern situation from a couple of years ago. So let's just kind of keep our mind on the sense that these could change if they do release, or these might not be releasing at all. But yeah, let's get into it. And starting with Metal Force here, what's really interesting, we have a look at what looks like going to be the single assortment. So you'll notice it's a little bit of a picture of Batman and Superman and Crypto. What's really interesting about the Batman on here is that's the exact same Batman that I made a video on about a month ago. So we pretty much can confirm that the concept of Batman is real. As for the concept of Superman, it should be real, but again, you know, we don't really know 100%. But something really cool about that Superman is if you look at his accessories, he's coming with Crypto, and he's coming with the claw piece there. And that's the exact same accessories he came with in the very first Imaginext Superman release back from 2007. The only thing missing is the kryptonite. So I like that. I like that little Easter egg and homage there, first ever releases. And, you know, this might be the first time since that first wave where we gotten Batman and Superman themed character packs, but actually no, it isn't. I mean, we've had several more and waves before that. Now, outside of that, we're also getting two vehicles, one for Batman and one for Superman. Obviously, the Batman one is going to be the Batmobile, and it's a smaller version. It looks like it shoots missiles. It doesn't look like anything, you know, too fancy that stands out compared to previous Batmobiles, but I do like how it's a new mold. They could have easily just repainted a previous Batmobile, so I like that they didn't do that. And I like the smaller vehicles, too, because they kind of work with the older Batcave as well. But the Superman vehicle I'm very excited about because, as you can see, it's actually the Supermobile. And the Supermobile is something that does exist in the comic books. I mean, we've seen it a few times. You know, it's not super real known. It was made, I think, to promote a Corgi Supermobile years ago in the 70s. So it's not like an iconic piece of Superman lore, but it is actually really cool that Imaginext did their own little variation of it, and I'm very excited for this, actually. Granted, it's not too much like the original Supermobile, but it does have the fist on there, which I really hope move, and it looks really cool. And the Superman in that set is pretty nice, too. It's a new sculpt. I don't think we've seen that for Superman before. It almost looks like he has, like, red eyes, too. But it's really hard to tell because the picture isn't zoomed in. And something, too, to note on these Metal Force figures that is really interesting is, if you look at the DC logo, that's the brand new DC logo that DC is using now, and not the one they had been using. So that's pretty cool. And then outside of that, we don't have too much more on Metal Force that we know of right yet, but there is going to be some kind of a Batman mech, and it's huge looking. I mean, it's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll pick this up. I don't really go too crazy for, like, the big stuff, just because it doesn't really, like, you know, it's just not something I really like that much, but it is pretty cool looking, and it almost reminds me of that transforming Batmobile Bat Tank from a couple years ago. It's just kind of like a generic Batman-looking robot, but, you know, I mean, it's definitely made for kids. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun for them, but just not something I really find that interesting. But yeah, so moving on to the next stuff, let's talk about the Superman movie. Now, I wasn't really sure if Imaginext was going to be doing anything for Superman 2025, because Imaginext has kind of been super weird when it comes to making, like, movie sets. Like, they did a whole movie toy line for the Aquaman movie, but they did practically nothing for Justice League. They did a whole bunch of movie toys for Wonder Woman and Batman vs. Superman, but they didn't really do anything for Shazam. You know, it's kind of like they flip-flop on what movies they do stuff for and which ones they don't. But we have two sets sets from the Superman movie that are pretty much from the movie, basically based off this description. And basically it's written in Spanish, and I put it for Google Translate here, but it says, this one-of-a-kind multi-pack comes with a mix of iconic heroes and villains. Each figure will feature arm and leg articulation, includes Superman and 5 other iconic characters from the movie. So this description is straight up confirming, hey, this is from Superman 2025. And we do know right off the bat we're getting Superman. Obviously, that's the most important character from the movie. So it is interesting to have a David Cornsweet Superman in Imaginext form. That's going to be cool. But the other 5 characters I'm not sure about. It does say heroes and villains, so it's a possibility that this will be like, Lex. Obviously, Lex is going to be in this set. Maybe Ultraman, who we know is pretty much the main villain of the film, as well as the engineer. But if so, that would be 4 characters, and then that leaves 2 more, which could be Mr. Terrific. I feel like Mr. Terrific is definitely going to be in this set, and then Guy Gardner could also be in the set as Green Lantern. But I don't know. I don't know if they want to put that many villains and just free heroes. I mean, that would kind of work out, free heroes, free villains. That would be perfect. But again, I don't know if they're going to do that, but it does say an iconic mix. I would personally prefer if the set was Superman, Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Metamorpho and Lex. I think that would be a pretty cool number set. But also, too, it is a possibility that this set could have Crypto in it as well, and that could count as a character. But either way, it's really interesting because we're getting at least 6 figures who are based on this movie, which is just kind of unheard of. Even though Imaginext has done movie-inspired and movie-based stuff before, it's just really strange. But Superman's going to have a big marketing push, so it kind of adds up, too. Now, there's going to be another set, which is, let me see. And the other set is Superman and Villain Pack, and this description for this. The ultimate kaiju enemy form from Superman. The movie comes to life with action, lights, and sounds. Pull the trigger on his tail to activate a forceful bite from his mouth. Twist his tail to rotate his arms back and forth. Attach Superman to the chains, and then swing him around trying to catch the big bad. Comes with 1 kaiju and 1 3-inch figure. Now, it doesn't say who the figure is going to be included, but considering it does say, attach Superman to his chains, I assume this is going to be Superman, so Superman's going to be in both sets, which is pretty cool. And we've seen a couple shots of this monster from the trailer, and then we know from some of the McFarlane listings that they're planning to do a giant monster. So obviously this is pretty cool, and I like them doing it. It's going to be neat to see Superman fighting characters. He doesn't do a lot of fighting in some of his past movies, so it's cool. It's cool we're finally getting some more action-based stuff with Superman, and especially in the toys too. And again, this does surprise me because, I expected they might do a Superman that kind of looks like David and like a single pack or something, but the fact that they're straight up doing the movie versions of all these characters is just kind of insane, and I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see these. I'm excited for when the movie comes out too. But yeah, and also too, there could be more sets. I feel like they're going to do a Fortress of Solitude. I feel like at the very least, they'll probably re-release the original Fortress of Solitude. But either way, this is all we know for right now. And obviously, as we get closer to April and July, typically when April rolls around is when we get the July superhero movie toys. So, around that time, we'll kind of see more of this stuff and we'll have a better idea. But yeah, for right now, that's everything from Metal Force, as well as the Superman movie that we know that they're going to do. And let me know what you think the characters in that Superman movie pack is going to be in the comments. I'm not sure. Again, I'm hoping it's mostly the heroes, because outside of Hawkgirl, we don't have any of those, like Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Metamorpho. We don't have any of them in Imaginext, so it'd be really cool if they made them. But either way, if they do the villains too, like Lex and Engineer, we don't have an Engineer. That Ultraman costume looks pretty cool, so I'm excited. But outside of that, that's pretty much everything releasing. However, the same post that mentioned all this stuff coming out also mentions a S.T.A.R Labs playset that was supposed to come out that ended up getting canceled. Now, I really hope that this is wrong and that it does get released. I think the set looks so cool. Looking at the set here, it looks like it would have been a color changer set, and it looks like it would have included Batman and the Flash. You can see the little S.T.A.R Labs logo up there on the side. You got a giant computer. You have the tank for Batman. It looks like you would hit him, drop him in it, change his color. But the coolest thing about this set to me is the fact on top of this little computer here, you actually have the Flash on top of the cosmic treadmill, which I think is so cool. And I really wish Imaginext would have done this set because, like I said, it just looks great. Hopefully, if they did design this set, at the very least, maybe they could repurpose it into something. I mean, if they just released Flash, on a little cosmic treadmill by himself, I think that'd be pretty cool, like that little Batman Command Center they did. But yeah, it's just so crazy, and it sucks that this thing, if it is canceled, it is canceled. That would suck. But hopefully they find a way to release it, or just hopefully, if people see this and hey, start, not mailing them letters or anything like that. But hopefully, if they see a warm reception to this being canceled, they'll be like, hey, okay, maybe people might be interested in that. As for why this got canceled, it's hard to say, but I think it comes down to the year 2023. That's when Color Changers debuted, and that's also when the Flash movie came out. And both of those things did not do very well. At least I don't know if Color Changers did well, but I don't remember seeing them a lot in retail stores. And the Flash was obviously a bomb. So I think that probably has something to do with it. But again, it is cool to see what this set could have been and what they might would have released. And again, hopefully, they made the mold. I don't know if they did a whole bunch on it, because it does look like there's some CG in this picture, so maybe they didn't really design it. But hopefully, if they did, maybe they'll be like, hey, maybe we can release this, maybe in a couple years, or maybe just in general. Like if they see people maybe wanting this or something like this, they might. Probably won't, but either way, it's really cool. And it's a really interesting find, because we don't typically see a lot of Imaginext products that get canceled, you know what I mean? Like, we don't really see that side of Imaginext. And again, it's like, why'd they have to cancel this set? Because it looks so good. The Cosmic Treadmill, just anything Flash-based. We don't really have a lot for the Flash outside of a couple releases here and there. We never had a playset for him, so that would have been amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. And as more news comes out, I'll definitely be talking about it. As these things hit store shelves, I'll definitely be reviewing them. As for Metal Force, I do think that's going to release pretty soon. I always say that in my videos, and then the stuff doesn't come out till like 9 months later. But I do think Metal Force will probably release soon, because it's coming out around January where we're seeing these, and that's when a lot of stores do their reset. I don't know if it'll necessarily will be January. It probably will be more like February or March, but I do think we'll see that closer than before summer. But the Superman stuff, I don't think we're going to see before April, just based on like past Superman movies that have came out in July. April's around the time where we get the toys. I remember when the Spider-Man movies, the Homecoming and Far From Home, I remember all those toys came out in like April. But yeah, thank you for watching, and please rate, like, and subscribe.